G'day, I'm Adrian, this is Cara, and this is Ethan, and due to COVID-19 we're unable to get out four-wheel driving and camping and exploring this beautiful outback country of Australia. However, after watching copious amounts of Graham and Shaun getting up to their shenanigans on four-wheel drive action, we just had to get out and do something. So today we've decided to do a bit of four-wheel driving around our own backyard, culminating in a cook-up at the end, so hopefully, Shauno, you can enjoy a bit of Luxor. Now what I want you to do is go to the fridge, grab something cold, crack it, sit in your favourite chair and enjoy what's coming up.
Well, it's a cracker of a morning and I'm really looking forward to getting into this trip. The plan today is to head west, then turn south around the corner of the block and head down the western side of the house. It wasn't long before we came to our first obstacle. Now, even though it may look like just a small trench, you still got to take these things with a bit of caution. But with a little bit of guidance from myself,
It's all me.
I was able to guide Ethan across this safely. That's a great drive, mate. Today I'm going to be piloting our beast of a 200 series Land Cruiser. Now, this thing has more torque than a D-Max with a car hill installed.
Keep an eye on that tyre right there.
Riding shotgun with me today is my wife Cara, and tagging up behind is Ethan in his trusty old Land Cruiser Kakadu. After safely negotiating our way through the orchard down the back of the block, we found ourselves pulling into a cracker of a camp spot in the back corner of the place. As the sun started to set and the local wildlife started to fight for supremacy, we pulled into an absolute cracker of a camp spot and started to set up camp. After finding the perfect parking spot, we quickly set about setting up camp, ready for the evening. With the sun going down and a nice cold beer waiting for us in the fridge, it was time to get the fire crackling and cook up a meal that'll be more surprising than Shauno with a fish on the end of his reel. Doesn't get much better than this.
So what I'm going to do tonight, after a big long day of four-wheel driving, is I'm actually going to cook up some chicken Luxor. You can do this with fish, so if you've been out fishing and caught yourself a whopper of a fish, use the fish, but around here I haven't been able to get some fish, so I'm going to use some chicken. So the first thing we need to do is bring our pot up to temp.
What do you need?
Oh, you got to grab me a beer.
Beer?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Grab your beer.
You don't want too much oil because it is a Luxor, but just enough so the chicken doesn't stick and burn to the pan.
There we go.
Ah, beauty.
Cheers.
After you got yourself a beer, can I grab some chicken out of the old Waco there as well, please?
Chicken. Chuck it in.
Yep.
Kind of new. Chicken in.
Right, you don't want this to get too hot. You just want to bring the chicken up to temp and cook it all the way through. As I said, fish is pretty good with this. You can also put some mushrooms in here if you like, but if you do, there won't be much room for anything else. So if you want to just keep stirring that for a minute. Just check that. Right, so as you're bringing the chicken up to temp, I'm going to start adding the rest of the ingredients. With the chicken, you don't want to brown the chicken, you just want to make it so there's no more pink through the chicken. Then take it out. Now the chicken will produce quite a bit of juice, you want to leave that chicken stock in there. It just really helps out the laksa in there. So once you've got all the chicken out, you need to bring the pot back up to temperature, and we're going to start adding the spices. Now I'm going to cheat a bit here, and I'm just going to use some good old laksa paste and a few other ingredients which I'll go through. So because I'm going to fairly fill this pot, I've got a few people I need to feed. I'm actually going to put a fair bit of laksa in here.
Do you want the chilies?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget chilies. Chilies are awesome, especially on these cold nights. But don't be shy with the laksa paste. I also like to put a bit of red curry paste in mine. It just gives it that little bit of a change of flavour, and really gives a bit of a tingle on the tip of the tongue. There, just a bit of garlic. Ginger is a little underrated, but tastes absolutely fantastic in your laksa. You can't go past a good root to put into your food. So with the ginger, I like to put about 2 teaspoons in the mix. And then some bamboo shoots. Alright, so once you finish chopping up the chilies, get them into the fry pan whilst you're sizzling up the rest of the stuff. And do all this before you add any of the other stuff back into it, because you really just want to fry those chilies up a bit just to remove a bit of the tart heat out of the seeds and get it to really infuse with the moisture. After about half a beer, this will have fried up nicely, and it's time to add the chicken back to the pot. Grab that. Oh, it's starting to smell really good. You can really smell the infusion of the chilies with the laksa sauce that's in there. This is going to be great. Once the chicken's stirred back into this laksa paste and it's really starting to infuse well, I like to add a litre of chicken stock. Now, because we're out four-wheel drive and we need to save space, what I tend to do is I just use some good old stock cubes. We need about a litre of water in there, and throw in a couple of stock cubes and just stir it all in. What we're also going to do is add some good old bean sprouts into the mix. Stir them in and just give a bit of a different texture to the laksa. So once that's starting to really come up to the boil, it's time to finish cutting up the bok choy, and we're going to get the bok choy in there. And then the last ingredient before we put the lid on and just let it sort of cook in and mould into the perfect laksa when you're out camping, some good old coconut cream. I put in about 2 tins of this. So as I was saying, once you get all that in, chuck the lid on, wait about 1.5 beers, come back after you've enjoyed sitting around the fire. You should have yourself a really good laksa. Alrighty, let's have a look. It's been going away for probably about half an hour now. We've been sitting out by the fire getting nice and warm. Oh, look at that. Alright, this is looking really good. We've just got to add the last ingredient now, which is vermicelli. A bit like dirty rice. We're going to stick it straight in the pot, and the good thing about that is it's going to suck up all the good flavours that we've put in there with this laksa. So you just whack that straight in there, push it in, and that's going to take probably about 5 minutes. Alrighty, this should actually be ready to eat. have a look. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Looking really good. Alrighty, we just need to grab a couple of bowls out of the camp kitchen. Turn that off. Okay, what I do have is we've got the shallots that we chopped up before. I've kept them, I didn't put them in the pot, and they'll go on top once we serve it all up. We need a serving spoon. That always helps. Alrighty.
Yum. That's amazing.
Oh yes. There you go. A really simple, easy and quick meal when you're out four-wheeling. Oh yeah. That's really good. That's probably one of the best meals I've ever made.
Brilliant.
Why don't you go sit by the fire?
Okay.
Should it make that noise?
Yes. This is redundant.
After about half a beer.
Taking our whole beer. Put the chicken back in the pot.
You're gonna give me a panic attack.
What does vermicelli do?
Cook. Soften. The flavour. Brings out the flavour.